Everyone has their childhood games, but for anyone born in the early 2000s, more than likely, this is one of them. I remember as a kid just loving to play this game so much and I never knew why. But as I've grown up and gone back to it multiple times because of the place it has in my heart, I've come to realize it's for a multitude of reasons. Today, I'm going to go over all the reasons people love this game and why it was the first and last of its kind. What I mean by this is that it was one of a kind, but there's reasons Rockstar hasn't made a Bully 2, but we'll get into that. I hope you enjoy the video, and let's get started. So to properly understand why there'll most likely never be a Bully 2 or anything like it, we first need to go back to the time when Bully 1 released and understand what made it so good, all the way back to 2006 on the 17th of October for the PlayStation 2. Other games releasing around this time were Need for Speed Carbon, Gears of War, Oblivion, and some other games you might know, but nothing quite compared to the experience Bully gave you, in a setting based in a private boarding school where you were given the freedom to roam around Bullworth Academy while being given choices to skip lessons or attend them for cool rewards, responsibilities that you could forget about or embrace, stuff that you simply can't do in real life. But you might be thinking, well, in GTA I can also do whatever I want whenever I want. But what made Bully so different is that it was close to home. What I mean by this is that it wasn't far-fetched. For example, in GTA, you can roam the streets gunning people down and just die, respawn, and you get to do it all over again. Whereas in Bully, every bad thing you do is more realistic to what a real bully might do. Because of this, the player grows to become more invested in this world, where you can go do things you could do in real life, but you wouldn't do. Things such as sticking kick me sticky notes on the back of people, or throwing stink bombs at other students. Now this all sounds great, but there is a dark side to the game, one that you would most likely overlook while playing, and it's all summed up in one word: kids. Yeah. Kids in video games is a dangerous area to dabble in for most companies, for the main reason being that it's bad for publicity. Look at any of the more recent games that have kids in them. Red Dead Redemption, for example. Any children in that game are invincible, for the obvious reason that prompting harm or death upon children is wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's bad for anyone, but more specifically children. Around the time this game was released, and even to this day, the idea that violent games have a negative effect on children's social behaviors is a big thing, and I can agree with this to some extent, but one thing that is not good to promote to children is hurting other kids, which is exactly what Bully does. Now obviously, Bully wasn't made with the intent to make kids violent, but it may have that effect if exposed to the wrong audience. Now speaking from first-hand experience, I played Bully when I was around 8, and it did not have a single negative effect on my social behavior whatsoever. But I think it's situational and personal to each specific person. It wouldn't have the same effect it had on me than it might do to Timmy down the road. For all we know, he could grow up and be a raging Avengers level threat. No, but in all seriousness, this is one of the reasons, and the main one, that there probably won't be a Bully 2. As fun as the idea is, it's directly head on with the theory we just discussed, except worse, as it's kids. Hurting other kids promotes bullying, as if it was something fun. What I've seen others discussing in videos, or just in general, is that apparently it doesn't promote bullying as Jimmy, the main character. He's actually trying to do the right thing most of the time, and overall he's a good person. And as true as this is, it doesn't mean that bullying isn't being promoted. For a younger audience observing this gameplay, they might pick up on how different characters in the story behave. And obviously a lot of the characters are questionable at the very least. But enough of why it's unlikely we'll never see another Bully. Now I'm going to talk about what specifically made it so good and why it stuck with me and so many others for so long, starting with the music. There are little ways to explain the music in this game other than saying that it's amazing. It suits the environment very well and the game too. I actually frequently use Bully's soundtrack in a lot of my videos because it's just so good for commentary as well. It was composed by Sean Lee, and it's safe to say that he hit the nail on the head and made a lot of our childhoods. The story. For 2006 standards, the game actually has a somewhat compelling story. Obviously, you're in a school as a child, so you would think that not many interesting things would happen in the life of Jimmy Hopkins, but you'd be wrong. It does a good job with having this hierarchy of different groups in the school, and everything you do affects reputation with these groups. This flows well with the story, as you'll go against and work with different people, and it just works so well. the characters. Other than Jimmy being iconic himself, and for good reason, what else is done really well with the character side of things? Well, first off, every main story character is written really well to portray these borderline cheesy lines that somehow work in the game's favor with each character. Take Pete for example. He's meant to be this pathetic nobody that gets pushed around a lot, but you take a liking to him, not just in pity, but the realization that Pete would probably have your back more than others would in the story. The exploration and the map. The exploration side of things is done really well too. Not only you have the entire school to discover, but also gates that lead to a whole town that get opened at a certain point in the game. I remember unlocking the town for the first time and I was blown away because I had just spent what felt like a lifetime exploring Bullworth, and boom. There was so much more to go and explore. It's not just empty either. There's jobs you can do to get money, a fairground where you can win tickets. Also, I can't explain how many times I've saved up for the scooter in the fairground, and so much more. I love the world of Bully overall. It's not a big map by any means, but it doesn't need to be. It's full of detail, and you can tell how much passion went into this game purely from observation. The atmosphere. With all of these things combined together, it gives a certain feel to the game that I can't explain. It's partly nostalgia, but there's something more than that. I can go back to it at any point and enjoy the game to this day. 24 years later. The uniqueness of the game combined with how well it was crafted just gives it this all-around arcadey but amazing feel, and that is what made Bully so good. And that was it. That's why I love Bully. I hope you enjoyed the video. I did miss an upload 2 weeks ago, but it might be like that from now on, so it's every other Sunday. But I'll try and post as frequently as possible. I also said that I would complete the whole Borderlands franchise, and I almost have, but I'm saving Borderlands 2 and 1 till I'm more in a position to spend a lot of time on the videos, as not only are they amazing games, but they're also one of my favorites. So I wasn't ready to make the videos. I want to get it right. But yeah. Other than that, thanks for watching, and goodbye.